Welcome to the Happy Achiever Project. This is the podcast where conversations about ambition meets conversations about well-being as we share stories, tools, and techniques that help success-driven go-getters build a life they are happy and successful in. In today's episode, one of the reasons why a lot of high achievers are unhappy is because they're actually working on goals that don't fulfill them, goals that they don't even like, that doesn't have meaning for them. And one of the things that I found in my research is that there's a lot of fear around doing what you actually want to do. So today I have with me Lucas Mattiello. Lucas is a confidence coach. He's coached a lot of people in public speaking, which is one of the biggest fears. They say next to death, a lot of people fear public speaking. So he has coached a lot of high C-suite, D-suite executives on public speaking, and he also runs Level Up Live-In coaching practice. So he's going to be sharing with us today how to get more confident about chasing the dreams that we actually want to achieve. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just get right into it. You have a dream, you have a goal, something that you really want, but you're not going for it. Why is that? Why do you think people do that?
It's their fear. It comes down
Simple.
to
Simple fear.
They're afraid. They're afraid that they're not good enough. They're afraid it's not going to work out. They're afraid that a lot of times people look at it. There's two key things we want to look at. First is the fear of failure, and that's where most people, they get it, they understand it. I want this goal, but what if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work out to plan? And that's something that's easy to wrap your head around. Yeah. But the other one that I see, and it's very common, but it's sneaky, it's the fear of success. And that's something that's a very hidden trap, because that gets built around, if I actually achieve it, am I worthy? That's the first thing. Am I worthy of this success?
Yeah.
2, if I do it, can I sustain it? And then 3, how will my life change? And will I be okay with that? Because any change, positive or negative, it adjusts the status quo, and that can bring fear. So these are the two sides people want to look at.
And already, that's already causing a lot of reasons to just stay comfortable where you are, even though you know you're not feeling fulfilled.
Even if it's not ideal, something that's stable. I mean, think about this, where how many people have been, there's any circumstance you could think about, in a relationship that's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
They know that. Why don't they leave? Well, it's not, because it's not bad enough.
Yeah.
It's okay. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's whatever. If it's not bad enough, the resistance to change can be quite high.
Mm-hmm. So most of the time, people have to wait till the pain is too much than what they can handle before they can actually make the change required.
I mean, how many times have we heard stories of, I had to hit rock bottom, and then I changed. So it's like people knew that it wasn't good for them for a long time. Something happened. They had that look in the mirror and they go, something needs to change. And then they now have this courage and motivation to make that change.
And so if someone finally finds the motivation to change, whether it's they had to get to rock bottom or whatever reason that motivates them to change, what are some techniques that you would share for people to be able to face that fear?
I'd say that the first thing is, you want to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And a lot of times people stop from going for what they want because they're not sure of how it's going to go. It's the outcome. And that's something you have to release control of the outcome. You don't know how it's going to go. And when a person can be comfortable with that, going, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if I'm going to be good enough or not. I don't know if the market's going to like it. And they still do it, that's where that shifts, because it's getting comfortable in the face of uncertainty.
Yeah. How do you get comfortable?
You have to look at, why are people struggling, and why do they seek certainty, right? Okay, because it's predictable. But what are they really afraid of? They're afraid of it going sideways. They're afraid of making mistakes. It can be absolutely paralyzing.
Yeah.
But when a person can look in the mirror and go, mistakes are a sign of growing, and I'm okay making mistakes. Because if you look at any successful individual, and you ask them, what are some failures? They'll have a laundry list of failures, but people don't look at the failures. They look at, you're the head of this. You created that. It's like, sure, but it's like the 10-year overnight success.
Yeah.
You didn't see the 10 years where, these musicians were playing in a piano bar for $50 a night, but you see them selling at a show now, and people go, oh, I could never do that. But they discount, or they don't see the 10 years that built up to that.
So I'm getting two things from that.
Yeah.
So, getting over the fear of mistakes. Normalizing mistakes.
Yeah.
It's normal. If you're going to grow, you're going to make mistakes. So normalize that. And I'm also getting allowing yourself to grow, allowing yourself to be a learner in whatever decision or whatever direction you've decided to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So even with the work that we do, the hierarchy, it's a methodology called the hierarchy of confidence.
Hierarchy of confidence.
Hierarchy of confidence. Okay. And it's how do we systematically build confidence in people?
Okay.
The foundation, there's 6 steps. The foundation of it is compassion, and that's self-compassion. That's being kind to yourself. And that the reason it's the foundation is because people need to be able to say, okay, I went for it, and I'm doing the best that I can, and be okay with it. Most people have expectations of they got to do it and be perfect, and it's just not realistic. So that's the first one. Then after that, we got to get to commitment. Who are you here to become? Right? Oh, I want to be a bold leader. Okay, well then your actions have to line up with that. That's the second one. Then it's courage. Courage is the third step. In my opinion, that's one of the most important, because it's taking action in the face of uncertainty. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going to do it anyways, which leads to the fourth, which is competence. That's how you build a skill set. And then that leads to 5, which is conviction, where you can speak and really lead people. And then it gets to top 6. People want to short circuit it. They want to go from 0 to confident. It's like, no.
You have to walk through the process.
Exactly.
You have to climb that hill.
Yeah. Well, also think about it too. Imagine that you're building a skyscraper. You're not just going to have the penthouse. If you just have a penthouse floating, it's not stable. It's going to fall on the ground. Yeah. You need that foundation, but you need to go deep into the earth to create that foundation so that's stable. Yeah. So when you look at it, something I invite people to do is look at their journey as they're building the skyscraper of their dreams. First thing you got to ask is the foundation, and that's where you're building it, and you're making mistakes, and you're learning and growing, and then you can build up the tower, and then you can have the penthouse, which everyone's going to see at the end.
Which everyone wants to live in.
Everyone wants to live in it. Exactly.
Interesting. So compassion, and then
commitment,
then courage, and
competence,
and then
conviction.
Yes. Wow. Okay, so that's a good tool that people can have in their mind.
Absolutely.
And because you train people who are very nervous about public speaking, how long do you think that usually would take to go from compassionate to conviction?
Oh, to conviction?
Or to the top. Which is the top? Conviction?
Yeah, conviction, then confidence at the top.
Okay,
but that's a longer journey.
Okay.
That's a longer journey. I always frame it as, so in our 2 days, 2-day intensive, we can get to courage and build competence.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, that's enough, because in that 2 days, it's like you have a baseline, you see where you started, you see yourself improving, you have all the tools, the techniques to look good when you're speaking in public. And then after that, it's about you practicing it in the real world, putting yourself out there, and that's where you're building that confidence. So the first 3, up to courage, we can build in 3 days and start chipping away and start building that confidence. But confidence takes a while. It takes repeated practice. So I think someone, if they were dedicated to it, within 6 months, they could go from a 2-day intensive, get the tools, then implement it. 6 months, they'll get to a level of good competence. If you want to get to conviction, so I'm thinking of this from a client journey, that would be keynoting a conference, doing a big talk. That's going to be in the 6 to 12 month range.
So from compassion, you get to courage to actually get confident.
Yes.
And so you start to, and with confident is learning about, getting knowledge about your environment or the things that you're doing, right? So I'm looking at it from a perspective of someone who isn't just like tied to public speaking. I know you're looking at it from public speaking. And so it's important for you when you get to courage to allow yourself to learn and become competent. So continuously do that thing that it is that you want to achieve, right?
Yeah, there's absolutely no substitute for practical experience. Like you have to do it. Yes, yeah. And people spend a lot of times to watch YouTube videos and read books and stuff like that. And it's all great, but that's knowledge. And there's a lot of things in our life that we know we should do that we don't do. And so the difference is in doing it, that's where you actually earn your confidence. And that's something that I love, that concept, because that can't be taken away from you. When you put yourself out there, you're afraid, you get the win. It's almost like you're collecting confidence points and you're building it in, and that can't be taken away from you. It's so much more powerful than reading a book. It's like, oh, do this breathing technique, do this body posture.
Yeah,
that's
cool. You have to do it. You have to take the action for it to become part of you. And once it becomes part of you, like you said, no one can take it from you anymore. And you can even fall down, but you know that you're going to be able to stand up again.
Absolutely. In our training, let's just say like the 2-day, there's 2 specific milestones. One for day 1, one for day 2.
Okay.
Day 1 is just about becoming comfortable. Okay. Like that's it. So that's the first milestone is, can you be comfortable speaking in public? Can you be comfortable being the center of attention, having everyone look at you? And what's needed for that, you need to get a baseline. You need to get a starting point, see where you are. A lot of times people think that they're worse than they really are, or that they're better than they are.
Okay.
And that's why we use video. It's a tool. You see it from there. It's like, okay, that's an assessment tool.
That means they have to go and actually do to see where they are now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the baseline. Just do it and see where you are now.
Where you are right now.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter where they are. Like people get some people can get really tripped up by it.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to do this. I thought it was better. I thought it was.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, because the difference is in a training environment, we just see where you are, get that baseline.
Which is important.
It's important because now
you know where you are,
exactly.
And then you can tell where to go.
Exactly. And then we get them speaking, and then that's recorded so they see themselves improving. So you need stress management, mindset, getting comfortable with the foundations of messaging, and then speaking, getting comfortable. So that's day 1. And then day 2, after we got that, then we can focus on being an engaging speaker. So engaging, that's about finding your authentic voice, dialing in your message. How do you quickly put a message together? And then projecting the voice.
Yeah.
When you put those together, that's where you're able to start speaking up, be effective and engaging, because there's the content and then there's the delivery. Those are the 2 sides that we got to look at. And you have those 2, you're good.
How did you get into confidence speaking?
How long are we here for?
we have like 15 minutes to go.
That could be a 3 hour.
I know.
That could be a 3 hour story alone. But no, I'll chop it down. So I'm an accidental entrepreneur, which sometimes
what's that?
Accidental.
Okay.
I never meant to be an entrepreneur. I struggled with anxiety and panic attacks for 15 years, all throughout from 14 to 29. I was working in a job that wasn't good for me. It was just, I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Because the people were really nice, but the job was a terrible fit. It was working in finance, and that was not a fit for my skill set at all. And then, fortunately, I was laid off. And I say fortunately because I wouldn't have left. And
so that was your trigger.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, trust. Yes. I say, I personally believe that, call it God or the universe or whatever you want to say. I think sometimes you get messages and hints and nudges of this is the direction you need to go in. And then you don't listen or take action. And then you get that smack upside the head.
And then something says, you got to go this way.
You're gone.
And I feel like you're even lucky to get that smack sometimes.
Yes. It can be devastating in the moment. I remember I was in the parking lot. I was just bawling my eyes out like a mess. But then after I actually got called back, and I had a really great job offer, same organization in a different department.
Okay.
And it made all the sense. It was this guy who was advancing through the ranks. I had a good relationship with him. He's like, hey, come in. You'll be number 3 in the organization. I'm going to the top. You'll come for the ride.
Yeah.
And something felt wrong. I'm like, I can't do it. And he's like, do you have another job? I'm like, no, I don't. I have 0 prospects. And he's like, I don't get it. He's like, what else would you want?
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it is. I would have a set life, pension, long weekend every 2 weeks, good pay, all that. But it just didn't feel right. And he's like, well, do you want to try it, maybe do part-time? And I go, I can't, because, and this is the honest truth, if I got that next contract, I was going to buy a new vehicle. If I got a new vehicle, I would have been hooked into payments.
Yeah.
And I would have had a reason why I couldn't leave because I was having payments. So
Yeah.
I did say yes to the job, move forward. My anxiety got really bad after the job layoff, and I ended up going to the doctor. He's like, you look horrible, because I was dealing with a lot at that time.
Yeah.
Became depressed as well. And he's like, we need to get you some serious help. I ended up going to the Burnaby General. They have like a mental health ward. Went there, met the psychiatrist, got diagnosed with panic disorder. So I finally knew what I was dealing with. Panic disorder,
Okay.
yeah. So I was always having these panic attacks.
Okay.
And I didn't know. So I thought I was just having a heart attack all the time.
Yeah.
And from that, he's like, we're going to get you in a program. We're going to teach you exposure therapy. We'll get you over this. And so I said, sure. Okay, great. Did the program. And then I got brought into a youth group to start speaking about our stories to destigmatize mental illness. And that I was super nervous.
Yeah.
Sharing personal stuff. But through that, I became more confident. And then some of the people there were like, hey, can you help us speak? Because we want to do that. And I went through my whole imposter syndrome there.
Yeah.
But then started doing it. And then 12 years later, here we are.
Interesting. What do you mean by exposure therapy?
So exposure therapy, so in the panic world, what you have to do, and I think you have to expose yourself to the scenarios that bring up fear to get comfortable with the fear.
Oh, I see.
But I understood the concept, and then I went extreme into it, and I was doing a lot of things that were just bringing up fear, and I actually burnt out with adrenal fatigue.
Okay. And
then I went back to the psychiatrist, talked to him, and he's like, no. He's like, exposure therapy is good, but you need to do incremental exposure therapy. And I'm like, oh, incremental? What's this? He's like, you need to slowly build this up instead of just jumping into the deep end. And so that was actually really, really helpful.
Okay.
So to build up. And now I actually do that with my clients.
So it's one of the techniques that you
Absolutely.
So what does that mean, incremental? Like start with a little. So define, I'm assuming here, right? So define what it is that you're afraid of. Mm-hmm. Then do the littlest thing possible, and then keep increasing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Find what it is. I mean, because for a lot of people, identifying the obstacle is the first thing. Because most people, they'll say, "Oh, I hate public speaking. I hate it." I say, "Okay, well, what about it?" "Well, I just don't like it." Okay, so now we're hunting ghosts. It's like, what are we chasing here? So we got to narrow it down. There was someone I talked to recently who said that, and she's like, "Oh, I was bullied a lot in high school." It's like, okay, so now we got to look at it. What about that, right? Well, so you were bullied by people in high school, which is most people and clients that I work with, they have a history, whether it's childhood, whether it's schools, whether it's work, whether it's relationships with partners, a friend group, they didn't feel safe to speak.
Yeah.
That creates the fear, and then they spend the rest of their life on the lookout and in a world of avoidance.
Mm-hmm. So then how do they expose themselves?
Well, in the example, let's just say that somebody was bullied. Okay. So typically what that brings up is that it's I put myself out there. I had a group of people attacking me. Yeah. I don't feel safe. So now when we look at public speaking,
you feel the same emotions. Yeah.
It's you're vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there. You have a bunch of people that are judging you. That's the key here. They are judging you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the people who, oh, I'm afraid of being judged. If you speak in public, I guarantee you will be judged. Of course, you have to. We all do it. Yeah. It's okay. Now, when you embrace it, that's where you actually take some of the power back over the fear. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be judged. Okay, so if I know I'm going to be judged, what can I now do? If I know that I'm going to be judged, it takes the pressure from having to win everybody over.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, I can just be myself, and the right people are going to find me. So with that, you need to change it around. So the scenario of being bullied, all those people, you don't feel safe with their eye contact and being the center, then you got to look at it. It's like, okay, what could I do different? Find a friendly face in the audience. That's one. Two, instead of taking it personally, look at how can you show up instead of winning everyone over.
Yeah.
Just speak your message to the right people, right? These are ways that you can start chipping away at that and feeling comfortable.
Or you can put yourself in a space where you're not judged a lot, or at least that the people are nicer. Right. You can start there.
Yes.
I guess if you can find that, and then build up the courage and the confidence to go to more hostile environments.
Well, yeah, no, that's true. And talk about hostile environments too. It's like, okay, why are people hostile? Mm-hmm. They disagree with your ideas. Okay. But again, it comes back to it. If you give up, this is something in personal development. I had a coach that helped me with this. He was saying that if you give up the need to be right, you're going to have a lot more ease and success in your life. And I'm like, oh, okay, what do you mean by this? I'm like, oh, I got to be wrong about everything. He's like, no. He's like, you know a way, but that's one of 1,000 different ways to get to the outcome.
Yeah.
What that does is it allows you more freedom to put that message out there going, this isn't the way. I didn't come from
a way.
Yeah, I didn't come from the heavens and this is the guaranteed way. This is a way that's worked for me. It's worked for my clients. It could work for you. If it doesn't work for you, or you want to find another, that's cool. You got to find the right thing for you. So it takes that pressure off. It's not the way, it's a way.
And it gives you like the opportunity to not feel bad if the person is judging you. It's like, it's fine. You can judge me because there's a lot of ways that you could maybe you have something that works for you.
Well, exactly. It takes it away. It's not a situation.
It's not about you now. Yeah. It's just about the person or life in general.
Absolutely.
And it makes you feel more comfortable. That's what I get.
Absolutely. That's exactly it.
So if you could meet someone right now who wants to change their life, like they've been successful, but they want to change their life to a place where there's more balance and they need more well-being and more happiness in their life, what would you say to them?
Oh, I'd want to know first what's been stopping them. What are they really afraid of? And in that, it's typically if people are successful and they're in a career, a lot of times it can be the status and their ego, where it's like, this is a familiar space and I'm recognized as an expert doing this. And then it's a big variable. Yeah. Am I going to be as successful in this other career? But then it's a trade-off, because do you want to have happiness or do you want to maintain your level of success? So the first thing I'd want to know is, what's the fear that's stopping them? And then digging into that, it could go into, who are you afraid of letting down? I think that's a
good one. It's a lot of times attached to that as well.
Yeah. Who are you afraid of letting down? If you give up, like I've had so many clients that were either doctors or lawyers, and they have a bit of a midlife crisis in my training because they realize that that's not actually what they love. But when we get into it, it's this gave my parents satisfaction or give them bragging rights. Like I have a buddy of mine, Sid. He was a consultant at Deloitte when he was in his early 20s. It was great. His parents had bragging rights. Then he switched and became an entrepreneur. His parents lost the bragging rights. It's like, it's like, all right, but then
you're happier.
It's from a happiness standpoint.
Okay, so get clear on what it is that's stopping you.
Yes.
And also get clear on who you feel letting down.
Yeah, who are you afraid of letting down? And I think with that, it's going to be parents. Could be parents is a common one. Could be a partner, afraid of letting them down. Friend group, and then ultimately yourself. Yeah. And we as humans, we make meaning. So it's, what meaning are you making? Well, I get it. You can be wrapped in, I'm a VP of marketing or whatever. Okay, great. But if you're not happy, it doesn't, because consistently money, titles, it's not long-term happiness. And there's a book called The Regrets of the Dying.
The Regrets of Dying.
Yeah, and Bronnie Ware, she's a palliative care nurse, that she was asking her patients, what are your top regrets? And the number one regret that consistently came up was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not other people's expectations. Right? I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not others' expectations. And I think for everyone, that's a great question, just for internal reflection, to be like, am I actually doing this for me, or am I doing it for other people?
We have 5 minutes, but I wanted to also touch on something you mentioned at the beginning, the fear of success.
Oh, yeah.
How does that show up and how does that stop people from actually going?
Yeah, so that's a big one. Fear of success. A couple things. What you can look at is where people typically engage in self-sabotaging behavior.
Yeah.
So they'll have a win, and then there's a self-sabotage. There's a win, and then a self-sabotage. Now, go ahead. No, you're gonna.
I was gonna say, I was gonna raise my hand and say, I've experienced that.
Sure.
And sometimes it's automatic. You just automatically self-sabotage, but yeah.
This is all, and this is why the foundation is compassion.
Yeah.
Because it is automatic. And it all comes from survival.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming from a good place. Is that the healthiest place? No. But the priority is always survival. So there's a predictability of continuing to do what you've always done. You know your skill set, you know where you are. So this, even if the success goes to the next level, that brings up uncertainty. Can I achieve this? Can I deserve it? Do I feel worthy of this? These are all very big questions to look at. And any one of those can have a number of different pieces in there that need to be worked on. The other one too, I see this shows up a lot in relationships. If partner one starts advancing their career, whether it's personal development, whether it's money, whether it's status and title, the other partner is like, oh, well, am I going to leave them behind?
Yeah.
Are they going to feel like I'm surpassing them?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to abandon them? So you get partners that are trying to hold them back,
Yeah.
or you can feel bad about it.
So how do you overcome like the fear of success? What would be one thing you would say?
I think it comes down to, do you believe you deserve it? Mm-hmm. And that's the one question I ask clients when we're in that. Do you fully believe? Not somewhat believe. Do you fully
100%.
Believe 100%? Not 90%. Not 90.
What about 99.9?
Look, 99.9 is good because it's going to move you forward.
Yeah.
But there's still, and look, do I believe in absolutes? No. But do I believe in finding the areas to explore? Absolutely. So, but an honest reflection of yourself, like, do I truly believe that I deserve this, whatever the success is?
Yeah.
If it's not 100%, then it's what part of me doesn't. And then now you have a path.
Well, thank you for joining us. We have
of course.
Some time.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to share? Maybe about level up?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want. I could talk. I'm happy.
No, like what? So what are your programs like? And just share.
The main one that we're focusing on is the Speak with Confidence. Is our 2-day speaker transformation. So for professionals or entrepreneurs who are nervous, or it's not the real them when they put themselves out there. Yeah. They've read the books, they watch the YouTube videos, and again, this is good knowledge, but knowledge isn't one that's going to get you there. It's the experience. The challenge is people to put themselves out there is a lot. It's overwhelming, and most people won't. Yeah. So we create an environment where people are comfortable, they're safe to get a baseline, build themselves up, step into their power, and then take that out into the career. That's what we do.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. What did you get from today's episode? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to come back for more next week. Talk to you soon, and wishing you a happy, balanced, and successful life.